Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 11th May 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Largely they relate to our mains examination. Let us take overview of all these articles. First, vaccine skirmishes. So again, the context of the article is the TRIPS waiver at WTO. US government had supported such kind of waiver, so that's why again it is in news. The article is discussing again various aspects, especially related to whether it will be sufficient for vaccine insufficiency, inadequacy that the developing countries are facing. So some reasons, along with that way forward is mentioned here. So from this COVID-19 and governance perspective we will discuss this. Second, decoding inequality in digital world. So article is talking about the increasing nature of inequality, be it in income, or we can say rich poor divide, or in the other aspects, especially the social aspects in access to the online education, or we can say healthcare facilities and other aspects. The growing inequality, especially in the digital world that we are entering into, especially during pandemic time. The article is giving very good facts also. So from that governance and social justice perspective, we are going to take input here. Then on page number 7, op-ed page, fixing the vaccine crunch. So the article is giving real-time information about the present status of vaccine production, then the future vaccine expansion in coming 3 to 4 months, and the new vaccines which may get emergency use approval and how they are going to be helpful in vaccine sufficiency, and what other aspects that we need to consider for vaccination for all in India as a way forward. So from that aspect, COVID-19 we are going to take input here, and lastly some important developments at international stage that we are having follow up on daily basis. Okay. Now, let us go into details of all these articles. Vaccine skirmishes. Whether IPR waiver to TRIPS agreement of WTO and its rule will be useful or not. Yes, in yesterday's lecture also we discussed this issue. Yes, in last 1 week this article or this particular issue is being discussed in various articles. We have to compile all this data that on daily basis we are discussing here on this particular issue. Today also we will take some additional inputs here regarding this, that recently US announced that it would support the waiver on intellectual property rights for production of COVID-19 vaccines. However, it is opposed by major European Union nations like Germany. We have to also understand that this is for vaccines and not other drugs, therapeutics and technology involved in dealing with this COVID-19 situation. Now, IPR waiver may not be entirely resolving this vaccine deficit issue because of certain reasons. What are these reasons? Let us try to understand. Grant of waiver would have to be accompanied by tech transfer that provides generic pharma companies, manufacturers with requisite trained personnel and raw materials and high-tech equipments and production know-how. That means even waiver is given under WTO TRIPS agreement, then the companies, especially these pharma companies in the Western world who have developed these vaccines and drugs, they have to transfer the technology to these generic drug manufacturers, especially located in developing countries, and then the training of manpower, and ultimately we have to also evaluate the production and the quality of these drugs and vaccines. This will be again the problem. Then how any vaccine then produced by genetic manufacturers would pass the test of safety, immunogenicity and protective efficacy. Now, who will decide on this? Who will evaluate the safety and all the protocols which are required here? So yes, it will also be a problem, and then in future such kind of agency, especially World Health Organization or appointed by WHO, such authority will be required to evaluate the safety of all vaccines and drugs. Then impact on global supply chains for vaccine production should be also examined after such waiver is given. right? So yes, after waiver is given, there will be some kind of, let's say, freedom to the countries to impose legal restrictions or binding obligations on these companies to share the technology, share the know-how of all these drugs and vaccine developed to the generic manufacturers. However, we have to understand that no country will be, let's say, exercising such dominating rules on the pharma companies. This will haphazard the foreign investment in those countries and further vaccine production. Okay, along with that, the supply chains for vaccine production, how it is going to be disturbing. Yes, we can understand that whatever the supply and demand at the global level that happens because of market mechanism. However, when such kind of waiver is given, then what happens is the supply chains are disturbed here, and the developing countries, especially with a huge population, they will be requiring or have more demand of these vaccines. Therefore, there will be it will impact global supply chains. Alternative options to urgently address vaccine shortfalls should be considered. So this is actually the important aspect, especially while US is supporting such a waiver here. Basically, it is some kind of pressure on those companies to deal with some kind of bilateral agreements with these countries like India, South Africa, Brazil. These developing countries, the bilateral agreements can be done, and the vaccine can be sold or produced at the subsidized rate and sold to these countries bilaterally, right? This is a good development. Instead of waiver, what we can expect is that, for example, India can have the agreement with further that country and allow the technology sharing to the generic manufacturers in India, as we know that we have that capability. So such kind of sharing will be helpful, right? So ultimately, we have to find the alternative options to urgently address the vaccine shortfalls, right? So yes, what kind of question we can expect? Do you think that IPR waiver to COVID-19 vaccine and drug development technology will solve the problem of vaccine shortage? Justify your view. Okay, so such kind of question can be addressed or answered with the help of this discussion. Now, the next article, the article is talking about the decoding inequality in the digital world. So yes, the article in the initial part talks about the growing inequality because of the pandemic that we are facing. Last year during first wave, we have seen the reverse migration, migrant and poor people, especially in the urban areas, they faced many such problems of income, food insecurity, and many people lost their lives also. Now, after that, the country shifted towards online education, and many people, especially poor people, marginalized sections of society, they did not have access to the infrastructure, for example, smartphones, computers, PCs, or laptops, or even internet connections. This is very poor in the country, and this shows the growing inequity. At the same time, the government is promoting digital health in COVID-19 pandemic times, and the poor people, illiterate people, those who do not have access to digital infrastructure, they are again facing the unequal access to these digital health services also. Let us try to understand these one by one. First aspect is that growing income inequality. Yes, rich are becoming rich and poor are becoming poor. So rich poor divide is growing day by day. You can give the reference to Oxfam report, where you can show that many rich Indian corporates like Adani Powers and Adani Company, they have increased their profits during last 1.5 years. And this is during pandemic situation, wherein many people are falling below poverty line. You can give the example of one of the World Bank report, which shows 25 million people in India has fallen under poverty line. So such kind of facts you can mention here. Along with that, the online education. Now, some important facts. For example, according to National Sample Survey data 2017, only 6% rural households and 25% urban household have computer. Access to internet facilities is 70% in rural, 42% in urban areas. To some extent, total and on an average internet penetration is only up to 50%. This shows that online education has resulted into some kind of inequality in access to the education, especially during the pandemic time, right? Along with that, we have to also understand that many such surveys like NCRT or Azim Premji Foundation, Acer report, Oxfam report suggest between 27% to 60% could not access online classes for range of reasons like lack of devices or shared devices, inability to buy data packs, etc. Along with that, the girl child, especially living in the household, they face problem because in Indian society, which is patriarchal society, the girl child or those especially adolescent girls, they are expected to do household chores also by being at home. At the same time, many children face the problem of, let's say, not appropriate environment for education at home. Yes, many people are living in the one single room, whole family of 4 to 5 people is living in one room. Such environment is not at all, let's say, appropriate for education purpose, okay, learning purpose we can say. Right. So, these are the issues. Along with that, access to the healthcare, especially what we are seeing during pandemic time is poor people are not able to get appropriate access to the health. We are watching this, we are seeing this during the vaccination program. This CoWIN platform in the country, this is the only platform that government has provided for vaccination of the people, and this is only in English language. At the same time, it requires internet connection. So, we have seen the facts just now that around only 50% of the households have internet connections, and this shows that it is resulting into unequal access to the vaccines also, be it let's say keeping aside all the other healthcare access to the other healthcare services. Right, this shows the inequality in access to the healthcare. Along with that, government is indirectly promoting this digital health ID project, especially by collecting Aadhaar data for healthcare services. This shows some kind of concentration of power or centralization of power, centralization of health data that is being collected. However, the article here is proposing that there should be decentralization of data. For example, simply every person can have digital health card, okay, and this card, smart card, can have all the information about that person's history. So, this is very good, let's say at the local level, this particular data can be used for treatment of that person by any, let's say, without carrying any documents further of the previous cases or case history, right. So, this is actually the good approach, decentralization rather than centralization with digital health ID project, because we know that we do not have that data protection law in place, and because of that, yes, the huge data of the people and their right to privacy is going to get hampered in future because of any kind of leak of data. And lastly, there is much need of increase in public health expenditure. At present, it is only about 1% of GDP in the country. However, we need at least we can say that 4 to 5% of GDP expenditure in the health sector. You can give the example of UK, wherein the public health expenditure is 7 to 8%. And National Health Service NHS of UK is very famous, wherein free of cost health services are provided at local level to each and every person, right. So, such kind of National Health Service can be also started in the country. and need to increase public health expenditure, especially this was felt. We have seen the fault lines in the public health infrastructure in the country, and how the private health facilities are exploiting the people for this COVID-19 care and services. Right. So, we can expect such question: pandemic and growing inequality in digital world, or in general inequality. So, pandemic and inequality, this can be a topic in GS2 paper, social justice part, governance, essay paper on social justice and society. Overall in GS1 paper, society part, we can expect such kind of question here. Fine? Okay. Now, moving on to next, fixing the vaccine crunch. Here the article is talking about how we can increase the vaccine supply in future. It is talking about the present production capacity, expansion in capacity in near future, and 3 other vaccine candidates that can reach field application in next 4 months. So, this information as a follow-up in COVID-19 you need to be aware about. Let us try to understand some facts here. Bharat Biotech, which is producing this Covaxin, making about 8 to 10 million doses of Covax in a month. Serum Institute of India making Covishield 70 million doses a month. Along with that, we need about 1500 million doses, 2 doses per person, to vaccinate the total population at present, and India has covered only 10% of the target population. So, expansion in near future, Bharat Biotech is going to expand capacity and hopes to reach target of 50 to 60 million per month. Then SII has stated that it will push production to 100 million doses per month, and Sputnik may chip in with 50 million doses a month in about 4 months. This is the scenario of next 4 months. At the same time, along with these 3 vaccines, which one? Covaxin, then Covishield and Sputnik 5. So, these 3 vaccines, DNA vaccine for spike protein by Zydus Cadila. This is the only DNA vaccine that is being produced in the world. So, DNA vaccine, others are mRNA vaccines. Yes, second, recombinant spike protein by biological E, and lastly self-amplifying messenger RNA, mRNA, samRNA for spike protein by Genova. So, this is how these 3 will be the prospective candidates in next 4 months, which will get emergency use approval by the regulatory authorities in the country. Total 6 vaccines, they surely in next 6 months, if this continues, this scenario continues, in next 6 months the government will be able to vaccinate all the population. Now, what should be the way forward? There can be, let's say, some obstacles. To deal with these obstacles, first thing, yes, after vaccinating of around 60% of target population, we may reach herd immunity, and this is going to bring down the cases drastically. This is good thing. We also need to know how long this antibody mediated protection will last. We are let's say seeing some reports that this particular vaccines will produce the antibodies only for 3 to 4 months. We can get reinfected in future. So, there is need of much studies related to antibodies production. We need to look into T cell memory and its role in long term protection. This is very important. T cell memory cells and the, let's say, long term protection that is given by these memory T cells. They remember the antigens and accordingly they produce the antibodies in our body. So, how these T cells, memory T cells, are working towards dealing with this COVID-19 virus, we have to study that part. The issue of vaccinating children will become priority in future because of their asymptomatic cases being the largest carriers to spread the disease. Along with that, the viral variants will evolve and pose challenges to vaccine efficacy in near future. So, tweaking of these vaccines will require in future, and surely each and every year we will get more and more vaccines which are tweaked with the variants being taken into consideration. So, this is going to be around for almost 4 to 5 years. Next 4 to 5 years we have to let's say see this situation. Okay, variants. Fine, so this is the way forward. As a follow-up to COVID-19 situation in the country, you should be aware about the production capacities and its expansion, and which are the candidates, vaccine candidates. Yes. International developments, World Health Organization has said that the variant of double mutant, okay, B1617, that was first identified in India last year, was being classified as variant of global concern by World Health Organization. This is the development. Along with that, under Operation Samudra Setu 2, Operation Samudra Setu 2, Navy is landing ship tank INS Airavat arrived at a naval dockyard in Visakhapatnam from Singapore with 8 cryogenic oxygen tanks and other let's say medical instruments. INS Trikanand arrived in Mumbai with 40 million tons of liquid oxygen from France under French mission Oxygen Solidarity Bridge. Then INS Kolkata arrived at New Mangalore port with 227 million tons oxygen filled containers, 400 oxygen cylinders, such kind of equipments from Qatar and Kuwait, these two countries. And Bangladesh, this is new development, Bangladesh will receive major consignment of China made vaccine Sinopharm doses, as India has a delayed delivery of Covishield vaccine in recent weeks. This Sinopharm vaccine got WHO approval recently. Okay, first Chinese drug vaccine for COVID-19 disease, Sinopharm, that has been approved by WHO for emergency use. Fine. So these are the developments at international stage, and some of them are related to the international help that is being received by India to deal with this COVID-19 situation. Fine? Yes. These were important developments in today's The Hindu newspaper. Try to follow this particular lecture series that we are having on the daily basis, so that you will understand the whole issues in the holistic manner. Okay. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari sir and team, you can contact Luqman IAS. Thank you.